So this is scenario number 2. And if you recall, if you've seen MBT miniatures, scenario 1, the Soviets attacked out of Czechoslovakia, the Central Group forces, through the Hof corridor. And they were led by a tank battalion, cross-attached plus. It would be suggested, hypothetically, that they would overrun the frontline units real quick. Their first main obstacle, or mines, and it was protected in the first scenario by a German grenadier company, which the Soviets, which I played, broke over the river, created a bridgehead. So the second scenario represents them, the Soviets, busting out of that, breaking through out of that bridgehead with a Soviet tank battalion, a crack Soviet tank battalion with T-80 tanks plus. And defending it in this sector as they're coming up to this first little village is going to be part a air cavalry troop, part of this 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment. So this is what the battlefield looks like. Now in this scenario, I'm going to go over the mechanics of the game. So you're going to see how we do AP fire, GP fire, and area effect fire. How we worked helicopters, planes, AA, artillery. So you'll get more of a detailed account. The first scenario, I didn't cover none of that. And I use almost all optional roles. Now for this one, I'm playing the American side. And the boys, who've only played this a couple times, want to take their try at the Russians. So here is my setup that I would like to do. I own this whole board basically. This is part of West Germany. Remember, we can set up anywhere. The objectives are the buildings. The buildings are worth all the money. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 back here. There's 2 on that side of this river. And there's 2 more out in front. So there's a total of 10. And this river right here, where you see the 2 bridges, cannot be crossed except by the bridges. This river, where you see that bridge going across this way, can be crossed. With me having the smaller forces, the way I set up, all our setup is hidden and we can be camouflaged. As far as the game terms go, camouflage reduces his sighting. But using this river to shorten up my defense is what I'll do, obviously, because I don't have to cover everything on that side of the board. I will defend this side of the board. I have some, everything was done on a point system. This is do your own scenarios. I built all these following the point system. And in this one, I have 2 deliberate tank minefields, anti-vehicle minefields, 2 deliberate anti-personnel minefields. I have a block, I have a wire, I have 2 improved positions, 1 counter battery, and 6 jamming points. So over here on the road, which he won't be able to see none of this until he can actually see it on the board in the game terms. So as he's advancing, he sees nothing at first. But coming up this road here, if he comes across the bridge, I'm going to put an anti-tank, anti-vehicle minefield right there as he's entering the brush area. And then I'm going to put the block I have right in front of this bridge to slow him down there. So that ought to give me enough time to react to anything he's doing over there. And then my other anti-tank deliberate minefield is going to go right in front of this double hill. See this double hill he comes across? It's going to go right in front as he comes up on the first level, just to spread him out a little there and slow him down. My 2 anti-tank personnel mines are going to go on the left side of this building right here and on the left side of this building here. And that's just, again, more protection against my flank. If he takes everything he has, comes up this road on this hilltop, and charges me along this whole area, you know, takes those two buildings, fights out of them, it's a pretty good area for him to attack of. That's where I don't want him to attack. He can put up a good fight there, and so I'm going to put a lot of my defense there. On this side, I think it's pretty easy for me to defend, especially if I'm sitting back behind this river and I got a clear view of open field of fire with tanks, helicopters, aircraft. I think I can pretty much devastate him. The only part he would be able to sneak across the river on me from is this wooded area, which I will put troops in and make them fight for it. So other than that, coming around the flank is pretty much the same. It's open field fire. I can devastate him, bomb him, artillery. It's just right in this area, I think, where he can have the best cover, make the most improvement on me. And especially attacking off the double hill. Even though that's wide open and I can bomb it, he can take those first two buildings on me right here and really control this area. This is the most dangerous part for me. So I'm just protecting the flank, and then I want to slow him down if he comes up that road. That's why I put the anti-tank minefield right up there. On this side of this building, just right where this road is into this hill, I'm putting my anti-tank ditch, digging my ditch right there to slow him down right there. So again, everything's being done to protect this area that I think is more crucial for him to get the most, you know, gain control of the town from, with these 5 buildings right here. One in between that building, and I'll have some tanks in there with a clean field of fire of people coming across there. It'll be hard for him to get out, you know, those M1s out of there. So with that being said, my setup, I'm kind of going to break a cardinal rule, but I really don't think it is breaking a cardinal rule. I can set up anywhere on the board. And remember, I have 3 troop squads. And 1 platoon would defend on this side. 1 platoon defend on this side. And then I keep 1 back here in reserve. That would be your basic setup. Only I don't like to get bogged down in a defensive position unless I'm really forced to. So what I'm going to do is I am going to set up 1 platoon right here. The 1 platoon consists of 4 M1 tanks, 2 Bradleys with 2 light infantry squads, and 2 M901 anti-tank vehicles. That'll all be set up in this area with my squads in these 2 forward buildings. We're going to put up the fight right here in this area. I'm not going to worry about this flank yet. It'll just be right there. My other platoon's going to go in this wooded area with the same, it has the same stuff, equipped with the 4 tanks, 2 infantry fighting vehicles, 2 light squads, and 2 M901s. They're going to be out here on this side. My reserve platoon is going to be the one that is right here in the middle, in those improved positions and along this riverbed. You may think like I'm putting up a whole line across, but this one I don't expect to really be engaged. It's going to help either on the right flank or it's going to help on the left. That's what I expect it to do. If he sends a large force around my left side, I'll pull this force over to cover that. So in essence, this is a reserve, but what this setup gives me, I believe, is being set up way on the right in this woods. First of all, anybody who tries to come off that side of the woods is going to get obviously immediately engaged by my platoon there and by my platoon sitting here in almost a crossfire. I would love him to do that. That would be pretty beneficial to me. If he stays out of that area and attacks on this side, this squad can then roll out of the wooded area across and hit him in the flank while this side is engaging him. So I'll get a maneuverable platoon there. Again, this one stays right here and just supports fire to whatever side we need it to. The Soviets came up this road, which was a good move, I would have done the same thing, leading with their tanks. They did start their recon unit in this building here. Hey, the recon can move out from that position. Did you want to move it this turn or not?
Oh, yeah. Oh, they can move from that position?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said...
No, that's just, you're allowed, he was allowed to start there.
Oh.
And then they put another tank platoon on this side and one right next to it. So it looks like he's coming down the right side, which, pretty good move, I gotta say. What do you think, Nicholas? Good move?
Yeah.
Because this side was hampered by a lot of forest, and his movement would have been slowed. So, pretty good move, I gotta say. But it doesn't catch us off guard because I know exactly what's the dangerous area, and I'd be expecting that. So, anyways, that is turn 1 movement.
Alright, we moved up over here, and I didn't expect anything for them to do anything. Not surprised that they didn't make any moves on us yet. So, that's it.
So, we didn't put markers on the board again just for this second turn because the Russian army is, again, the entire army's in movement orders, and the command points all work out where he can move everybody still. So, he still is moving. My army didn't move, and I'm in Overwatch still. So we're back to the air phase. And are you bringing in any jets or helicopters? Nope. And they are not for the second turn. So on the second turn, you know, the Russians, they didn't put order markers down. We just said all Russians are moving again, and all ours stayed on Overwatch. So as this tank company right here advanced over this hill, I called out M901 there, and an M901 there sitting in the woods was taking a shot on Overwatch. What I did is I copied these sheets so I don't ruin the cards. So I used paper copies. For each scenario I made, I have the sheets already worked out. And you notice all the numbers have been doubled because the board's bigger. I'm not going to keep repeating that anymore. And anyways, the way this works, it's an anti-tank guided missile being shot from an M901. It's an ITO Class 1 missile, and it's going to shoot a heat round AP, and we measure the range. Both are measuring between 13 and 14 inches, which is going to put them on this table 9 to 16. The AP number is an 18. That's what number I'm looking for. Now, first thing we do is the announcement gets made in Overwatch while he's moving. While he's moving, we have to look at the speed. If the tank is going to move more than 7 inches, then for every inch the tank moves, the missile's going to travel 17 inches and impact it. Now, if that tank moves behind some cover where the anti-tank guided missile can't hit it, then the attack is going to miss. Now, they say the anti-tank guided missiles are slow, and they move even at speeds where you can see it coming. So the tank could theoretically take 1 inch and start moving to the side for every 17 inches that the missile travels. Now, since the missile is only going to travel 13 or 14 inches, he don't get that. It's going to impact him right here. But you finish moving the entire tank company, and then you retrace its supply to where, you know, its tracks, where it moved from. So basically the first two are going to get hit here, but the entire tank company has finished moving, and I have Overwatch right here. And I'm just showing you how we do this. I'll take it slow a little bit. That's how the speed works. I don't want to take the shot when he's higher than me. That'd be a rising shot. And believe it or not, Russian tanks and even any tank have a lot more protection when the shot is rising. So as soon as he gets down right here, that's where I'll take the measurement from. So really the lead platoon would retrace its tracks back to here, and that's where I'd be shooting. And basically where those 3 tanks are. It falls within 13 inches. Conclude the AP firing. Now, because I play with a lot of people that are new to the game, I made up these sheets that outlines things so you don't forget anything, and it's very helpful to me too. Now, I made little notes on the anti-tank guided missile, so if you follow these for shooting an anti-guided missile, you can't go wrong. But this is the AP point effect direct fire, but it's an Overwatch. So you pick the round, you find the range, and you get the AP number. We already established that. It's an 18. And now you have to apply any modifiers for the terrain, movement, the grade, Overwatch, sighting, and any general modifier. So let's go to the game card. But anyways, let's go to the firing unit. And we're going to look at the movement modifiers. Am I moving? I am not. So I would be on this line. Is the target moving? Yes, it is. So you got a -3 modifier. Okay, that's it for the movement modifier. Let's go to the terrain modifiers. Now, he is in the open, so none of these modifiers are going to apply. Let's go to Overwatch. Now, this is the AP point effect modifier chart. You use this section when you're firing AP weapons. When you read the rules, it says firing Overwatch. When a unit with Overwatch orders is fired, a -5 applies if the target's not moving, and a -15 if the target is moving. So I kind of scratched that rule out, and I'm going with the -2 and -5 that's on our game card. I think this one is not correct. Overwatch. Is the target not moving? He's a 2. If he is moving, it's -5. So now I have a total of -8 to this modifier. Now, the target acquisition, meaning if you're shooting at the same target, you get modifiers. Well, it's not. It's a new target for me. And what's the size of the vehicle? To find that, you go to the vehicle's data card. So the vehicle's a T80 card. And down here at the bottom, you'll see the size. Well, there's another -1, -9. Through smoke, you check all the other modifiers here, and there's none. Now, what is my grade? We look at that. If I'm crack and it's over 8 inches, I get a +1. So now we're back down to an 8. And then this is for air units, so we don't use that. So that's it for the AP point effect modifier. Now you go on and you find this modifier according to the paper here I have. You find this modifier. I'm going to try to put this on the whole camera for you. And you can use this for yourself to help you check follow AP point effect fire. So now you go down the left side of the table, and your net modifier ended up being a -8, which is right here. Okay, that's an 8, trust me. You go out across the table. My factor was an 18. That's right there. And you cross grid it. And it says 52. And now we're going to check the maximum rate of fire on my firing card. So let's see what that is. I'm going to go through this every time I fire. AP point effect fire is pretty much the same everywhere you go. But I'm just showing you here real quick. So the rate of fire for this toe is 1. That means the maximum rate of fire is basically how many shots you think you can get off in. So it says here, if it is a 1, we go to number 4. Skip 4 and go to 5. Now I'm going to roll the dice, and I have to roll less than the 52, and I get a hit. So since both units are shooting at 2 different tanks, I'm going to take the rolls at the same time. The range is the same, the AP is the same. So I get 2 rolls, 1 on each one of these tanks. Alright, so here we go. I need a 52 or less. And I just rolled a 33. That's a hit. Now the second shot. And I just rolled a 37. You read the dice with the 0 first. So both of them hit. Right. So both of them hit. And the target now checks his hit location by first we determine the angle of the hit. So basically you're just drawing a line from here. I'm just hitting it in the front. This one is actually hitting the front, and this one's hitting the front. They came over the hill just like this. So I'm going to hit the front. That's the angle. And we have to determine the the correct area, because even though you're shooting it at the front, you could be hitting the turret front, you can actually hit the side of it. There's different ways. And the tank card is the hit location right here. And basically I'm hitting it in the front. Now I roll the dice, and this is going to tell me the angle it's hit. So I'm going to roll the dice right here. Here we go. And I just rolled a 27. A 27 puts it at turret front. So you come over here, it's a chemical weapon. It's a level shot. You go to here, you're shooting it in the front. You just hit the turret front. It has 128 armor with that. Plus, we built these using heavy reactive armor, and anything in the turret front, turret side, or hull front will be an automatic miss if you shoot it with a chemical weapon. So that shot missed. The second shot, I rolled a 97. 97 put it at a track. Now it has an asterisk. An asterisk means if it was hit in hull front, hull side, hull rear, or the track with an asterisk, you treat it as a miss if it was hull down. Now these are not hull down. Okay, my tanks setting up, they were able to get time. You have to say you're hull down, and my tanks are all hull down because they're in prepared positions. So we have a track hit on one of them. So what I do is I use this little marker. See that? That signifies that his track has come off. So that tank is basically disabled. It will be able to shoot, but basically it's going to get abandoned because it can't take separate orders than it does from its rest of platoon. So anyways, he has a sheet where it marks this unit, and we're going to just put on it a track hit. Anyways, that's all that was done by these two M901 shots. And then he continues moving, and that's where he ends up moving. The last thing you do is, this is my first platoon, the one I'm dealing with. You can see right here, the identity is one white. That vehicle right there has one white, and that one has two white dots on the back. So one white, it had 15 rounds, it has down to 14. And the one that says two white, I know it doesn't say two, and it looks like a number 1, but it's 2 marks. That means the 2 white dots, and it's down to 14. The second tank company is to its left, right here. You can see the bigger picture, and it moved to the left of him, and I took no shots at that, nothing there, and he's good there. And again, I put a lot of notes in here to make sure if we hit it at the turret top guns, a whole deck guns, then certain things happen. Also, it reminds me if the turret was pointing in a different direction, then you actually wouldn't hit a turret in the front, it'd get hurt in a side, because the turret was turned. So it just reminds you to remember to check this. So once these have fired, we must put a marker on them that says they shot, because shooting now signifies that they don't have to be in a certain specific range. A unit that has shot can be seen from anywhere. So for now, we just put the pins to know that these units have shot, and they can be seen when we determine that in one of the phases. The next unit I want to deal with is his Recon Platoon. His Recon Platoon, remember, he controlled these buildings right here and this one. And his Recon Platoon was allowed to set up next to either one. And the Recon Platoon in his second move has come over this hill, and I have decided to step out of a building, because with infantry you have to step out of the building, and I'm going to fire my rocket, RPGs at 2 of the Recon unit. So it's in the rules that the infantry cannot fire a rocket launcher inside a building, so he has to step out of the building. And for that matter, the infantry just being on that piece right there just means he's in the building. So he's actually going to step out, take a shot. This one means it's in that building. He's going to step out and take a shot. So I go to my infantry squad card, and I already have it marked here that my platoons, I have half squads. They have dragons, an AT-4, and half squads, dragon, one of them, and we'll have a GL. One of them has to shoot the dragon, and one of them can shoot a heat chemical weapon with a rocket launcher, which will do a little less piercing, but the unit I'm shooting at is a BRDM, so I'm not too worried about that. But again, I'd like to get at least 3, 4, 5, 6 inches away to shoot the dragon. So once again, as the unit is moving, on this one, I'm going to have to shoot, even though I don't want to, a rising shot. I'm going to have to shoot him as he's coming on top of the hill here and heading down. So, as you can see right there, you step out to the edge of the building, which they do. That means they're on the tree line, so they won't get a negative modifier for being in the trees. And then we measure that they're going to shoot up here on the hill. This one stepped out right there, and they're going to take a shot. And it's going to be up on the hill. And you do the same thing as we did with tanks. You retrace the movement backwards and decide if he can avoid the fire, which he won't be able to. And a 0-3.
What is that?
It's a hit. And the second one has to be a 55 or less. 39. Boy, I'm rolling good with the hits. Let's go to the angle of the hits. The one that has the dragon is hitting on the side. So, front side, let's roll and see what we get. And we have a 13. So we hit it in the turret front. You go over here to ammo used, which is going to be, oh, it's kinetic or chemical. It is a rising shot. And turret front is a 3 armor pen. That's his armor thickness. So you come over to the dragon and using the range we shot it at, which is right there, it has a armor penetration of 120. So it can penetrate up to 120 armor. That was a 3. Now we roll on the damage area. Let's see what we did to it. I just rolled a 33, and a 33 knocks it out. So let's go to the AT4. The AT4, I'll just look right now. It can penetrate up to 75 armor. Now this one's hitting directly in the front of this vehicle. So it's right here on this table. Let's roll and see where we hit it. Just rolled a 71, which puts it at a hull front with an Astrex. There is no hull down because he's moving. And that hits it in the hull front. You come over here. This shot is still rising at hull front. He has an armor of 4. Remember, I'll penetrate 75. So it is hit. And we're going to roll on the damage table and see what we get. Just rolled an 86. And an 86 bruise it up. BRDMs are transporting some teams. So they're leg units. So we're going to check them. We're going to roll, first of all, the vehicle that got brewed up. It was hit in the whole front. If he gets a 1 through 60, then he does bell out. So we did the bell out procedures. One team was eliminated with the brewed up there. See that fire marker? So basically straight up into the sky. Anything trying to shoot over that's going to be shooting through brewed up smoke. This team did manage to bell out, but it will be suppressed. Okay, because it just destroyed its vehicle. And that vehicle got knocked out. So 2 BRDMs destroyed there. 1 team destroyed. Now since my infantry hopped out of the building, they can essentially be shot at. But no Russians were prepared. In other words, they didn't have orders for Overwatch or anything like that. So the infantry go back in the building. So we continue with the Russians' second turn. And it'll be this tank company followed by the infantry company. And he still hasn't moved his AA battery. And then they will get a second air phase if they want to do something with helicopters. Helicopters are at nape of the earth. They're behind the woods right there. FYI for the infantry and the AT4 that was fired in the Dragon, unlimited ammo. Okay, to wrap up the Soviets' turn 2, we have the tank company right there I know it's a little dark, and the infantry company behind it, and he is deciding that he is going to move up over the hill straight away. This is Liam.
Yep.
He is the Soviet tank commander. He is Colonel O'Rourke. He's English. He defected to the Soviets. He didn't like the capitalist way anymore.
Yep.
And so he's been doing real good lately. He just won the Heroescape tournament out of 10 dudes. He, what was the last game you won? You won one before that too. Oh, he won the Heroes of Might and Magic.
Oh, yeah.
So he thinks he's on a roll, and he thinks he's going to win this one. So as he stipulated, he's moving up the road right over the hill, and what he's going to run into is a minefield. Now that represents the minefield and the size of it, and that's where I have one of my deliberate anti-tank minefields. So we're going to conduct that as he runs into that. Now each one of his platoons has a mine plow on it, and I'll show you how I do it in this miniature version. Now Liam has stated that he's going to move up this road right over the hill, so I informed him there's an anti-tank vehicle deliberate mine placed there. That's the size of the minefield. So here you see the first tank, which is the mine plow tank, hits the minefield. We resolve that. The mine plow attacks the minefield at 50 GP. And we resolve that as a GP attack. If the mine plow succeeds in eliminating the minefield, then he's going to keep on moving, and the other tanks will keep on moving right through. If he fails, then he can continue moving through if he wants, or he stays there and waits till next turn and tries to get rid of the minefield. The problem is, as that tank moves through the mine plow, as that tank with the mine plow moves through the mine, the other two tanks are gonna have to run into the minefield before they realize they hit the minefield. Now I get to roll the dice. The opposing player rolls the dice. He has a 50 GP attack with the mine plow. The minefield, a deliberate anti-tank, has a GP defense of 6. When you use GP weapons, you use the GP table here. Every unit has a GP defense. And when you look up this one, you would look on this side, the standard terrain value chart, because it's a terrain, a deliberate minefield. That's where you get the GP defense of 6. And you can see it's to roll over a 50 will eliminate it. And that's what we need. So it's a 50-50 shot. And I rolled a 55. So the roll of the 55 eliminated the minefield, so he's going to move on through. That's too bad. My minefield didn't slow him down. So that is the movement. He went through the minefield. He's up over the hill. He got to there. Now remember, every time you went up that level, you had to add an extra inch. So he can move 24 inches, but going up 2 levels, he actually moved 22 inches from the spot he was back here. So there he is. And the AA guns moved up, and that's the end of his movement. Of course, none of our guys were on movement orders, so they are not moving. We go to the second air phase, and my Apaches were brought in this turn. There they are. And they stayed nape at the earth, so they were below that hill level. And when it went up to the second level, they were below that hill level. So, not invisible sight of nothing. Turn 2. We're going to start turn 3. My thoughts on turn 3, or the first 2 turns, is I'm very proud of the kids, man. They're deliberate. They came right at me. They know they're going to overwhelm my positions. So I like their setup. They didn't fool around on this side, try and maneuver through woods and take their time. They're going to hit me hard. And it looks like I'm going to be using Hellfire missiles next, the first assault round, this guy has a laser designator that is sitting in that building, so he has perfect view of those tanks. The M901's a very interesting choice here. Do I go into stay into, because right now I'm in Overwatch. Do I change the movement and start moving back? The whole thing is, what if he goes to movement and keeps moving and I stay there and shoot? I may do that because that's what they're there for. I mean, they're M901s. They were there to watch actually the tanks going around the bridge area and coming on my flank on this side. I put some effort into protecting the flank on this side, but it doesn't, I don't know, to me, I don't know if he's taking it or not. And he may just come right at me. Now if he goes into direct fire, before I move, I'm sure the M901s are dust. So if I just go into direct fire, give these guys orders to, hey, your job's to shoot it out and see what you can do. You already disabled one tank with track, see if you can do something else. So I may just go in direct fire there and we'll have to write the M901s off. So all in all, he's really coming in strong and straightforward. Along with the Apaches firing their Hellfires next turn, I think I may be bringing in my A10. I'm controlling one A10 and my partner's controlling the other one, because I don't think I'm going to have any better chance of tanks all lined up in a row. I can come in, acquire the first target or second target on the hill, take a shot at it, keep on flying, and I can acquire some more targets and drop a bomb back here. They're all in the open, so you do not need an observer with the airplane. You only need an observer if he's in the woods, a building, improved position, stuff like that. In the open, all he has to do is fly and acquire the target. And you know what? We're going to see how well our A10 survives. Hit him with everything I've got. Or I was thinking of waiting for the artillery when he got around this area right by the bridge as he's crossing, and hit him right there. So I might wait for the artillery on that. I think the kids are doing real good. Now remember, sitting in the woods on this side, on his left flank, if he's looking this way, I have my 3rd platoon, controlled by my partner. And we've decided that we're not going to panic yet. We're going to let him bring his unit. You can see from where we're at, and the unit is on top of the hill there. We're going to let him bring his companies more up to the river, and then we're going to come out of this side and hit him in the flank. That was our game plan from the beginning, so it looks like that'll come to fruition.